Hello and welcome to Mostly Vintage Cameras. This is a Praktica VF212. It's one of these basic plastic construction 35mm cameras, of which there are any number on the market these days. Whilst it's got a model number of VF212, most websites are listing this as a Praktica 35mm reusable camera. While that is an accurate description, it's obviously a little bit long-winded, but nonetheless it's what we have. Now, as I say, this type of camera with a single element plastic lens, manual winding and so on and so forth, there are a lot of different iterations of it on the market. A lot of them, looking at the Ilford, this is the Ilford Sprite 35-2 that I reviewed some time ago. I'll link the video to this at the end of this and in the description. This is about £40. I've seen the Kodak Ultra F9 at about £45. Given how similar, some might even say the same, these cameras all are, the trick of it probably, if you want one of these, is just to buy the cheapest version. This Praktica, the SRP is I believe £25 and it's frequently on sale at £20. It's available in this black colour, very monochromatic, and it's also available in a cream colour as well. I've previously done an unboxing video where I've loaded the film in it, so I won't go into that too much in this video, because honestly, if you watch the video for the Ilford, all of the tips and tricks in that also apply to this. It runs on one AAA battery that goes in the base plate there. That just is to power the flash. There's a button to rewind the film here. You push that in and you turn this crank. This does extend a little bit. There we go. And as you rewind the film, incidentally, you will hear it clicking. That's perfectly normal. Just make sure you keep that button pressed in when you come to take the film out. On the front, we can turn the flash on and off. And we'll take a closer look at that in a moment, because it does serve another function. And then on the top plate, we've got a shutter release button. Because there's no film in here at the moment, it won't fire. And we've got a thumb wind on the back here. Film loading. Just open the camera back here. It's actually very simple. There's no slot that you have to thread the leader in. You just put the film in here, rest the leader on here, and start winding. As I say, I've done an unboxing and film loading video for this, so if you want more details on that, feel free to check that out. Viewfinder's pretty crude, the lens is pretty crude, the whole thing is very basic, but that also applies to all the other cameras of this genre. Now, if you've got £100 to spend, there is the Kodak Snapic A1, and that does get you a genuine step up in quality. It's a 3-element lens, it's got a focus, or a couple of focus zones, and a few other features. So if you've got £100 to spend and you want a new camera, buy a Snapic A1. If you want one of these very basic, often called reloadable, disposable or reusable 35mm cameras, then as I say, probably the best bet is to buy the cheapest one you can find, and I think this is probably going to be it. It's not all sunshine and flowers, or whatever the phrase is. There's a couple of little irritations I had with this. The frame counter is awful. It's just a hole with a disc that spins around with the frame numbers on it, but only I think it's every third number is printed, so quite often when you're looking at it, the previous numbers disappeared off out of view on this side, and the next numbers disappeared out of view on this side of the frame counter, and you're just left with a couple of dots and you can't really see what's going on. When you turn the flash on, it will charge up, and this light, you can see it lighting up now, will tell you it's ready to use flash, and that's great as far as it goes. But I find this light bulb they're using here, in bright sunlight, as the sun shines down on it, it quite often looks like it's shining anyway, even if you don't have the batteries in there. So I've taken the battery out of the base, and I've also popped a film in so that the shutter will fire. So press the button, shutter fires, wind on, and it's ready to go again. But with the battery not in here, as I turn the flash unit on, the flash unit's obviously not going to work, it's got no power. But if we look carefully at the lens, we can see something changes internally. So that's flash off, and if I turn it to flash on, the little disc, the little hole changes, the aperture changes. So this has two apertures which are dark. and very dark. It's not a very fast or very bright lens, and that's typical of this type of camera. So I would recommend that you only use this on sunny days, or if you're using the flash, you want to be within 1 or 2 meters of the flash. You don't want to be any further than that. But with these two apertures, which in reality are, get this the right way around, f11 with the flash off, or f9 in the flash on position, you do get a very small adjustment in exposure. So you could think of it as a very sunny day and the shady side of the street on a very sunny day. You're not going to really use this on a cloudy or an overcast day terribly successfully. To that end, in terms of the type of film you would want to use, I would recommend Kodak Ultra 400, or if you're feeling fancy, Kodak Portra 400, or if you want black and white photographs, I would recommend Ilford XB2, which is a great black and white film for people that aren't doing their own processing to use. Naturally, I didn't use any of those. I used this Kodak Vision 3. So this is actually a motion picture film, the sort of thing that you know, the blockbuster films are filmed on. This is generally on a massive reel, and companies buy those massive reels and then in a dark room they cut them down to fit into a conventional 35mm film canister for a still camera. I find the best place to buy them from, or the place I prefer to buy them from, is this company Analog Revival. They tend to be better value than some, and they also tend to be very reliable. Sometimes you get respooled films and they have light leaks or scratches or this sort of stuff, but I've never had that problem with Analog Revival, who have this rather jaunty logo. Not sponsored in any way, just happen to think they're fine. Now, this type of film, a couple of things about it in actual fact. You see it has this T at the end, so it's 200 ISO T, so that's a tungsten balanced film. So in daylight it will have a slight blue tint, and it says process ECN2, but you will have to find a lab that does ECN2 processing, and it will cost a little bit more. This is probably not the best film for this camera, although it is a very good film generally. I mentioned as you rewind the film it clicks a little bit, and as I've put the film in here, I will just rewind this, press the button. I tend to press and hold it. And when you extend the crank, if I can, don't worry too much about that clicking. Turn in the direction of arrow, and when you get to the end it will go stiff. And there we have it. Let's have a look at some photographs. And firstly, let's take a look at the picture of this office building. And I've got two versions of this, taken at the two different apertures. And you can just about see between them that there is a little bit difference, slight difference in the exposure. The flash, as I mentioned earlier, good for about 2 meters, as you can see on these graffiti photographs. Now, I did find that I tended to get my finger, as I'm holding the camera, I got my finger sort of in the way of the lens, which was a little bit irritating at times. The other problem I have with this is if you put it in your handbag or in your pocket with it wound on, there is a danger you'll accidentally press the button and you'll end up with a blank frame, and that did happen to me a couple of times. Now there's another picture from this office building area. It's actually the old Shell building in London, and I took a close-up of the statue, or the fountain, and I was surprised at how much detail there is within the metalwork of the statue. So there is some degree of sharpness in the lens, although it's not a high performance lens by any means. And then I took a picture of this, I think it's a pack bridge or a pack horse bridge. It's an old bridge over at Ford, but just changing the angle of view slightly does give a very different appearance to the photograph. And again, as we see this stanchion of the bridge from above, if you just change the angle of view slightly, and I also brighten the exposure by turning the flash on without a battery in the camera, you do get a slightly better picture there. But now I'm just going to show you a few more pictures and we'll sum up at the end. So there we have it. 200T Kodak Vision 3 is a little bit grainy. I think Kodak Ultra would be a better film to use in here, and Portra 400 certainly would be. But quite pleasing results. Where you have a bit of white, so the white flowers or a white washed wall, because it's tungsten balanced, it does pick up a slightly blue tint. And just one last picture. This, if you go to Cambridge, the city of, this pancake catering van just outside of the church opposite Marks and Spencer's really is one of the best places to eat in Cambridge, if you like pancakes. But that's neither here nor there as far as the camera goes. So that's been the Praktica. As I say, these simple to use cameras, they're not the best cameras in the world. The lenses are very crude. They don't produce the best sharpness, they only work in very, very bright sunlight. And a lot of people will say, and I sometimes see it in the comments, I don't know why you'd spend any money on that when you can get much better in a charity shop. Basically what those people are saying is, second-hand goods are cheaper than new goods. Shocking revelation there. Thank you so much for those comments, those people that have made them on previous videos. Yes, if you know what you're buying, and you know what you're looking for, you can find a camera second-hand that will perform better for much the same price, or perhaps even a little bit less. But if you're very new to film photography and you're thinking of buying a disposable camera just to try it out and see what the look is like, this gives you that disposable camera look. It's brand new, it's clean, it's very easy to use. A second-hand camera could be broken, could be a bit grubby, could be a bit more complicated to use. So, as an alternative to disposable, I would say these make a lot of sense, particularly at this £20 price point. When they start getting up to £40 or £50, the argument is less well made, as you'll see in the Ilford Sprite video, if you care to watch it. But for now, as I say, if you want to buy one of this sorts of cameras, simply buy the cheapest one you can find. They're all pretty much functionally the same in terms of performance. They're quite fun, I rather enjoy them. But they're not what you would call a serious camera, perhaps. Anyway, I hope that's been of interest to somebody. Do have a good day. Thank you for watching.